大家好，我是菲菲老师。Welcome back to Miffy Chinese. Today, let's continue with part 2 of HSK 2 lesson 1. Before we dive in, my ultimate HSK companion workbook is available in the description below. Get your copy now to help you follow along this lesson. Okay, let's go. First of all, let's read through the text. 喂，佳悦，你明天有时间吗？我想请你帮个忙。不好意思，田中，我已经到北京了。你是什么时候到的？我是今天早上到的。你有事可以叫李文帮忙，他还在学校呢。好的，那我给他打个电话。好，再见。Okay, as usual, 2 questions for you to understand the text. First one, 陈天中为什么给白嘉悦打电话？为什么 ？Why？ Why 陈天中 call 白嘉悦打电话 call someone。A 找他帮忙 ，B 请他吃饭 ，C 让他接个朋友。OK。Second question， 白嘉悦是什么时候到北京的？什么时候 ？What time？When？What time？ 什么时候到北京的 ？A 昨天中午 ，B 昨天晚上 ，C。今天早上 Okay, let's listen to the text again and you can make your choices. 喂，佳悦，你明天有时间吗？我想请你帮个忙。不好意思，田中，我已经到北京了。你是什么时候到的？我是今天早上到的。你有事可以叫李文帮忙，他还在学校呢。好的，那我给他打个电话。好。再见 Okay, let's see. First one, 陈天中为什么 Why? Because original sentence, right? 我想请你帮个忙 right? 帮个忙找他帮忙 So we choose A. And then 白嘉悦是什么时候 So let's locate if there is a time 什么时候到的今天早上到的 Original sentence 今天早上 So we choose C.A and C, right? Did you get it? Now, let's see the new vocabulary of text 3. You can read after me. 帮忙，帮忙，不好意思，不好意思，已经，已经，那，那。Okay, let's explain them in detail. First one, 帮忙，帮忙, to help, to help. Again, this is a separable verb.So we can say 帮个忙 right? It's actually short for 帮一个忙 帮一个忙帮个忙帮他的忙 help him 帮他的忙 For example, 我想请你帮个忙 I would like to ask for your help 你有事就找他他会帮忙的 How do we understand the 会 here? 会 According to the text,He will help you. Right? He will help you. If you have something, if you need something, just find him or just go to him. He will help you. Right? Okay, 帮忙. Next one, 不好意思. This is very, very highly used in everyday conversation. Right? 不好意思. So the definition on the textbook is find it embarrassing to do something. How do we understand it? So actually,First, we can translate it into excuse me. For example, in this scenario, 不好意思，请让一下. This is when you're, for example, on the subway, and then you would like to ask someone to make the way for you. You say, excuse me, right? Excuse me. So you say, 不好意思，请让一下，让一下. Right? So you're asking the people in front of you to go on the side a little bit. 不好意思 let me pass 不好意思 second usage 不好意思我今天没时间帮忙 here it's not excuse me anymore here is actually sorry but it's a lighter it's like a lighter tone than how do we say sorry another way to say sorry is 对不起 right 对不起 so 对不起 I'm sorry不好意思 also sorry, but it's not like I'm apologizing that I did something wrong, but it's just like I'm sorry, I don't have time today, right? Okay, so first meaning, excuse me. Second one, sorry. Sorry, 我今天没时间帮忙. Sorry, I don't have time today to help you. Okay, 不好意思. Next one, 已经 also very frequently used. 已经 it means already. For example, 他已经去学校了. He has gone to school already. The difference with English is that 已经 we always put it in front of the verb. If it's English, you can say he has already gone to school, or he's been to school already, right? You can put already either in the sentence or at the end. But in Chinese, let's always put this before the verb. Here, 妈妈已经睡觉了, right? 妈妈已经睡觉 is the verb, so we put 已经 before the verb. 妈妈已经睡觉. Mom has already went to bed. Okay, 已经. Next one, 那. Familiar, right? Because we see already, for example, 那个, right? 那个, that, 那里, there, or 这, right? 这, 那, that, 这, this. But here, 那 is the other meaning, which means then. For example, 那我们明天再去吧. Right? Let's go tomorrow then. Right? Then. But difference with English. In English, you can put the then at the back, right? But in English, if you mean then, always put 那 in the beginning of the sentence. 那我们明天再去吧. 明天下雨. 那我们不出去了. Right? 那tomorrow it will rain. Then we're not going out anymore. Right? Then. Okay. Next word. Next language point. Pivotal sentence. Okay. Let's see the definition first. A pivotal sentence consists of two verbal phrases in which the object of the first verb serves as the subject of the second verb. When the preceding verb is 请, 让, or 叫, it indicates asking or having someone to do something. Okay. Confusing, right? As usual, confusing. So let's understand this. This is actually very simple if you compare it with English. In English, we have similar sentences. For example, Mom asked me to go home. Right? So let's see the structure. Subject plus 请 or 让 or 叫 plus object, which this object becomes the subject of the next verb, which is the verb right here, or the verbal phrase. So, Mom, subject, 请, 让, 叫, ask, and then object is me, which me becomes the subject of the verb following, which is go home. Who go home? I go home, right? Ask me to go home. So, me, it was the object in the first part of the sentence, but here me becomes the subject of the second part of the sentence. So this is what this definition is about. So even if the definition is quite confusing, but we find out actually we know this already, right? So what's the difference? In English, you might have to use to connect it, but in Chinese, it's just this structure without to, right? To. So if we change the English example into this, Mom, let me go home. Mom, let me go home. So this one is actually exactly the Chinese structure here, right? It's exactly the same. So don't worry about seeing a difficult definition. Right? Okay, let's see more examples. 我想请你帮个忙. 我想请你 and then verb 帮忙, 帮个忙 verbal phrase. Right? I would like to ask you to help me, to do me a favor. Right? 王老师让我们说中文. 王老师让我们 the object, which becomes the subject later, 说中文 verbal phrase. Right? 王老师 ask us or let us speak Chinese. 妈妈叫孩子们回家。妈妈叫 here 请 or 让 or 叫 right? And then object 孩子们 which becomes the subject of the verbal phrase 回家回家 Okay, mom ask the children to go home or mom let the children go home right? Okay, so language point. Next, let's go into the last text of lesson 1. Let's read it together. You can read after me. 王老师，我们已经到北京了，是您姐姐来接的我们。她请我们吃了北京烤鸭，还给我们介绍了很多东西。我们的中文不太好，有时不太懂它的意思。Okay. So here, let's do 2 exercises. You have to decide, according to the text that you listened, decide whether this statement is true or false. Okay, first one. 王老师到北京了，是他姐姐来接的他。Second one. 白嘉悦现在要去饭店吃北京烤鸭。Okay, let's listen to the text again, and you can make your choices. 王老师，我们已经到北京了，是您姐姐来接的我们。她请我们吃了北京烤鸭，还给我们介绍了很多东西。我们的中文不太好，有时不太懂它的意思。Okay, so let's see. First one, 王老师到北京了，是他姐姐来接的他。So even if we see 王老师, we see the exact original word in the text, right? But 王老师到北京了 is 王老师到北京了 No, it's actually 白嘉悦. From the previous text, we know that this is actually probably could be a message, probably could be a 微信 message sent by 白嘉悦 to 王老师, right? So 白嘉悦 is talking to 王老师, saying that we have arrived in Beijing, right? So this one, the first sentence, the first statement is false, right? 王老师到北京了 false. 白嘉悦到北京了 right? Okay, next one. 白嘉悦现在要去饭店吃北京烤鸭. Now she's going to the restaurant to eat 北京烤鸭. But 她请我们吃了北京烤鸭. When we see 了, we know that it means the action has been done, right? So it has happened already. The statement says 现在要去, now going to. So it's false, right? So both of these 2 statements are false. Okay, let's move on. The vocabulary of this text, you can read after me. 介绍介绍有时懂意思北京烤鸭 Okay, let's see. First one, 介绍 introduce 介绍朋友 introduce friends 介绍一下 right? Introduce 一下 here means the action. We see this before, right? Here 一下 means the action that is lasting very short. So you're kind of like saying to someone, 介绍一下吧 right? Introduce 介绍一下吧 Suggesting 介绍一下吧 right? A short and very quick action. Okay, next one. 他给我介绍了很多朋友 How do we translate this sentence? 他给我介绍了很多朋友 So here, she introduced me a lot of friends. Okay, next one. 介绍一下你的新朋友吧介绍一下你的新朋友吧 So, introduce your new friends. So, most cases, 一下 this one. We don't need to exactly translate it word by word into English because I don't think we have a like corresponding expression in English. But so when you see this, 介绍一下 and then working together with 吧 you know that someone is suggesting you to do something, right? Do something. So, 介绍一下你的朋友吧。Introduce your friends. Okay, next verb. Next one. 有时 sometimes. So sometimes, actually the more complete version of this one, 有的时候 So 有时 we make it short to become 有时。我有时开车上班，有时坐出租车上班。How do you translate this one? It's kind of long, right? Let's try. I sometimes drive to go to work. Sometimes take a 出租车 taxi. Sometimes take a taxi to go to work. All right. Sometimes. 他有时7点起床，有时8点起床。She sometimes get up at 7, sometimes get up at 8. Right? 有时. But you can also use it without 有时 right? You don't have to you don't necessarily need to use it following exactly this structure. You can just say 她有时7点起床 right? Sometimes she get up at 7. So that works already. Next one. 懂 understand or know. Understand or know. So how do we understand this? 懂 Okay. So first, you can use it alone, right? Like standing alone. For example, 你懂了吗? 你懂了吗? Did you understand? 你懂了吗? Or you can also combine it with another verb. For example, 听懂 How do you understand this? 听懂 So it's also understand, but it emphasizes that you are listening to something and then you understand. For example, 他听不懂中文 So he cannot understand Chinese, but here you're emphasizing that he cannot understand Chinese when someone is speaking. So here we have more context than just he doesn't understand Chinese. So when you say 他听不懂中文, you could imply that he can actually read it. Probably he can read it or he can write it, but he just can't understand it when someone speaks. You can also change 听 into 读他读不懂中文 So here, it's also he doesn't understand Chinese if we translate it, but it implies he doesn't understand when he read it. So probably he can understand it when he listen, or he can understand when he writes it, but just cannot read, right? So you can combine it. You can use it alone, 你懂了吗?你听懂 and also with another verb together, right? 懂 Okay, next one, 意思 So, in text 3, we learned 不好意思 right? 不好意思 So here, we take 意思 out. It's actually another word. It means meaning. For example, 我不懂你的意思 I don't 懂 understand. Just see, right? 我不懂 I don't understand 你的意思 your meaning. I don't understand your meaning. I don't understand what you mean. Right? Okay, next one. 这个词什么意思? 什么意思? What meaning? So this word, what meaning? How do we translate this one? What does this word mean? Right? 这个词什么意思? So here, we don't have a verb in this sentence, right? So another example of Chinese grammar is quite flexible. You don't always have to complete the subject, verb, object structure. Right? Okay. Next one, 北京烤鸭. Beijing烤鸭. It's a thing that if you go to Beijing, I think for sure you're gonna try it. Personally, I like it quite a lot, but it's also very important you choose which restaurant you go, right? Because the most traditional one, the most authentic one, they do it in a special kind of stove, right? A special kind of oven, actually, right? So some places they're trying to make it simpler, the process faster. So maybe they use maybe electronic ovens to do it. But traditionally, they have to hang it into a special made oven. Right? Okay, so if you go to Beijing to travel, make sure you try this. I really like it. People always joke about how Beijing doesn't have many good food. I think that's I mean, partly true because compared to other parts of China, Beijing doesn't get like famous because of food. But Beijing 烤鸭 is something in Beijing I think that is definitely worth trying and is definitely very good. Okay, 北京烤鸭. For example, 我想去北京吃北京烤鸭, almost like a tongue twister. I want to go to Beijing to eat 北京烤鸭. And then 我喜欢吃北京烤鸭. I'd like to eat 北京烤鸭. Okay, good. Next one, let's do an exercise based on the text that we just read. Right? So, first one, 王老师的姐姐请白嘉月吃什么了？ A. 面包 B. 饺子 C. 北京烤鸭 Okay, so without going back to the text, can you still recall? Can you still recall? 王老师的姐姐 So 王老师, her older sister, 请白嘉月吃 So here, 请, it doesn't mean please, right? Here, 请 actually means treat. So what does her sister treat 白嘉月吃什么了 To eat, we should choose C, right? 北京烤鸭 C. Okay, next one. 白嘉月为什么不懂王老师姐姐的意思 Why 白嘉月 doesn't understand the sister of 王老师 doesn't understand her meaning, doesn't understand what she says. Because A. 他不会中文 B. 他的中文不太好 C. 没有王老师帮忙 Which one should we choose? Yes, we should choose B. 他的中文不太好 Right, from the text, from the original text, let's see. 我们的中文不太好 Right, our Chinese is not very good. That's why sometimes 有时不太懂她的意思 We don't understand very well what she means, right? So I think actually option C also makes sense. 没有王老师帮忙 So 王老师 didn't come to help. That's why she cannot understand. This also makes sense, but it's just not from the original text, right? Okay, so very good. Next, let's see the Hanzi chart of this lesson. We don't have very much, but every one of these Hanzi is very important. Try to recognize them. It's okay if you don't have time to write them one by one, but at least try to recognize them. Right? Okay, so that's everything of today's lesson. As you know, my mission is to make this HSK Marathon project free and accessible for everyone. So if you found value in my videos and truly want to master what you've learned today, the best way is to pick up my ultimate HSK Companion Workbook. I've designed it following 4 scientifically efficient steps: active recall for vocabularies, formula blocks for grammar, a smart writing section to break down characters for you, and most importantly, high-quality practice questions with detailed explanations to give you instant breakthrough. Grab your copy from the description below. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you in the next lesson.